If you cross your legs, you show confidence and comfort. Find out why from Joe Navarro in his book, What Everybody is Saying. Welcome to the Bite Size Sales Podcast, where we believe that sales is the most important team in a B2B company, that the sales team deserves great sales skills training but usually doesn't get it, and that taking bite-sized steps each day to get better at your craft is the best way to improve results. I am your host, Andrew Monahan, and I'm using my experiences in B2B sales to bring you simple, actionable ideas every day to help you get better. Welcome to episode 46 of the podcast and the final one for 2019. Big thank you to everyone who supported the launch of this podcast at the end of this year, and look forward to interacting with you more going into 2020. So for today's episode, let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen two people chatting, and they both have their legs crossed while they're standing there? And then you see two other people standing next to each other and chatting, but their legs are planted firmly apart and in place. This actually says a lot about how comfortable each of these couples are with each other. And it makes sense when it's all explained by Joe Navarro in What Everybody is Saying. And that's his book, What Everybody is Saying. And Joe is an ex-FBI agent who is an expert on nonverbal communication. So to read straight from the book, careful observation of the legs and feet can help you determine how comfortable you are around somebody else and vice versa. Leg crossing is a particularly accurate barometer of how comfortable we feel around another person. We don't use it if we feel uncomfortable. We also cross our legs in the presence of others when we are confident, and confidence is part of comfort. Let's examine why this is such an honest and revealing behavior. When you cross one leg in front of the other while standing, you reduce your balance significantly. From a safety standpoint, if there were a real threat, you could neither freeze very easily nor run away, because in that stance, you are basically balanced on one foot. For this reason, the limbic brain allows us to perform this behavior only when we feel comfortable or confident. If a person is standing by herself in an elevator with one leg crossed over the other, she will immediately uncross her legs and plant both feet firmly on the floor when a stranger steps into the elevator. This is a sign that the limbic brain is saying, you can't take any chances, you may have to deal with a potential threat or problem now, so put both feet firmly on the ground. When I see two colleagues talking to each other and they both have their legs crossed, I know they are comfortable with each other. First, this shows a mirroring of behaviors between two individuals. And second, because leg crossing is a high comfort display, this leg cross nonverbal can be used in interpersonal relationships to let the other person know that things are good between the two of you. So good, in fact, that you can afford to relax totally around that individual. Leg crossing then becomes a great way to communicate a positive sentiment. Here's an interesting feature of leg crossing. We usually do it subconsciously in favor of the person we like the most. In other words, we cross our legs in such a way so that we tilt toward the person we favor. This can provide some interesting revelations during family gatherings. In families in which there are multiple children, it's not unusual to have a parent reveal a preference for one child over another by crossing legs so that they tilt toward the child they favor. And that's read straight from the book, What Everybody is Saying, by Joe Navarro. Now, not least, this is going to be useful in the holiday period when you're trying to assess whether your parents love you more than your siblings. But anyway, in the business sense, I think you could probably put this under the heading, things that are so obvious now that you know them, that you know what to look for, and it makes perfect sense. And you think about it, it's all around us. I bet in the office today, at the store, if you're going shopping, anywhere around you, you'll see it. An interesting thing I was looking at, I was reading this book, and at the same time, for whatever reason, I was thinking about music. And, two bands that I love the music of. One is Springsteen and the E Street Band. And the second one is the British band Oasis from the late 90s, early 2000s. And you couldn't get two bands that are more different in their love for each other, or lack of it, in the case of Oasis. I think the E Street Band are, good friends. They get on well. They joke around on stage. Springsteen holds them to a very high standard, but they seem to enjoy each other's presence and company. Oasis, on the other hand, are notorious for arguing all the time. And in fact, it led to the breakup of the band in the early 2000s. The two brothers, Liam and Noel Gallagher, were always fighting. The bandmates were getting fired. New ones are coming in. It was a very dysfunctional, discontent environment. Do yourself a quick favor and do a quick search on Google Images for E Street Band, and then do one for Oasis. And you'll see what I mean by, even stage shots of the E Street Band. They've got their legs crossed, they're hanging out, they see them relaxed, arms crossed, legs crossed, things like that. And in Oasis's case, they're all standing there with their feet planted firmly, staring at the camera like they hate life. Right? And just look at how they're using their feet in each of those situations. Now, I know these photos are staged, but it just seems to really mirror what real life is like for both of those bands. So back to the real world in selling. I would practice observing these leg signs, observing what goes on around about you, and see if you can start reading social interactions where one-on-one people are crossing their legs or not, and also maybe in a group where someone is crossing their legs towards another person, which is maybe their more favored person in that group. So practice getting used to reading leg signs. If you like this episode, please share it wide and far. Spread the word. I get energy from seeing people download and use this content, so please just take 20 seconds to share it with anyone you think would like it too. This episode is sponsored by Unstoppable.do. Most sales teams are not trained effectively in the skills and mindset they deserve, and these are the most important people in the company. It's no wonder that only about 50% of reps make quota every year. Unstoppable is a service that helps sellers and leaders get great at the skills and mindset they need without taking time out of the field. It exists because if the sales team has the right skills and mindset, they thrive, they are confident, and they perform much better. Find out more and even get a free sales book at bitesizesales.com. And now to wrap up, as Emma Coker, Global Sales Enablement Manager at National Instruments, may or may not have once said, training without implementation is just entertainment, and pretty poor entertainment when Monahan does it. So make sure you take action on what you learn and keep getting better every day. This world does not need more sales BS, so don't create any more. Be great at the fundamentals, be honest, be real, be yourself, just do not BS. And finally, I'm signing off as the great Joe Sexton would by saying, gone to sell.